Hello everyone. Today we're doing lesson 65. My only function is the one God gave me. Let's begin. The idea for today reaffirms your commitment to salvation. It also reminds you that you have no function other than that. Both these thoughts are obviously necessary for a total commitment. Salvation cannot be the only purpose you hold while you still cherish others. The full acceptance of salvation as your only function necessarily entails two phases: the recognition of salvation as your function and the relinquishment of all the other goals you have invented for yourself. So, what that's saying, folks, is that you have to basically let go of everything that you think you know and believe to be true about you and about everything around you and about all your brothers. And you have to go within and start looking at all of these things you're choosing to believe in to be true. And your only function here right now is to accept the atonement for yourself, to accept the truth of what you have been doing yourself, to accept that responsibility for the choices you make. And in order to do that, you got to let go of everything. You got to relinquish everything and basically start fresh with Him.
I'm going to read the next two paragraphs because the next paragraph is only 3 sentences.
Go for it.
This is the only way in which you can take your rightful place among the saviors of the world. This is the only way in which you can say and mean, my only function is the one God gave me. This is the only way in which you can find peace of mind. Today and for a number of days to follow, set aside 10 to 15 minutes for a more sustained practice period in which you try to understand and accept what the idea for the day really means. Today's idea offers you escape from all your perceived difficulties. It places the key to the door of peace, which you have closed upon yourself in your own hands. It gives you the answer to all the searching you have done since time began.
Absolutely. So, in everything, you are the one making the choices and decisions to believe as you are. These lessons are giving you the key to look within at them and let them go, and to ask for correction and to change your mind once you get that correction, to change it to what is the truth and no longer continue believing what you were taught. You know, as children, we blindly follow and believe what we're being told. There comes a point where we have to stop following blindly and start questioning. Okay, moving on. 4. Try, if possible, to undertake the daily extended practice periods at approximately the same time each day. Try also to determine this time in advance and then adhere to it as closely as possible. The purpose of this is to arrange your days so that you have set apart the time for God, as well as for all the trivial purposes and goals you will pursue. This is part of the long-range disciplinary training your mind needs, so that the Holy Spirit can use it consistently for the purpose He shares with you. Now, what this is talking about, folks, is as we go through and we are learning these lessons, they ask us to do them a certain amount of times. And when we go and we set a time to do a certain thing here, it's as if we are placing our intent, the truth of our intent, to truly follow what these lessons are stating for us to do. That we are truly, willingly going forward and trying to actually do them and adhere to them and heal from them, from the stuff that we've been put through. In everything, it's having that willingness to do the work. And if you're putting forward that time and saying, okay, at 7:30 tomorrow evening, I'm going to sit down and do these lessons. And 7:30 comes around and you sit down and you do the lessons. And the next day you say 7:30, I'm going to do the lessons, and then you're wishy-washy because you want to go do something else. And then the next day suddenly you're wishy-washy again. Once you start that, what's the word?
Routine?
Thank you. Routine of doing them and setting that goal of doing them at that specific time or in this specific way, you're going to find yourself taking those instances and pulling them into other situations within and throughout your days. Those understandings, and it's not going to stay just with that one time period. It's going to play over your mind throughout the day because you're going to keep remembering, at this time I want to go do this, and you're going to find yourself pulling and drawn to doing these lessons at that time. Can't wait for that time to roll around so you have your centered, your peaceful time to go and do this. And you find you want it more, not just at that time, but throughout the day. You want to focus on it more. And key here, folks, is you can while still doing the stuff you're doing. It's learning to integrate that lesson into your day, into the things you're doing throughout the day, looking at the things that you're doing, thinking, saying, and see how those lessons apply. Step back from the conversation and think about what it is that's being said, where everybody's standing in it, and see how these lessons play out within those conversations and those interactions. Understand that all of this stuff is relative to it. These lessons are relative to your everyday life. Alex.
Try, if possible, to undertake the daily extended practice periods at approximately the same time each day.
Wait, I thought we just read that.
Okay, sorry. For the longer practice period, begin by reviewing the idea for the day. Then close your eyes, repeat the idea to yourself once again, and watch your mind carefully to catch whatever thoughts cross it. At first, make no attempt to concentrate only on thoughts related to the idea for the day. Rather, try to uncover each thought that arises to interfere with it. Note each one as it comes to you, with as little involvement or concern as possible, dismissing each one by telling yourself, "This thought reflects a goal that is preventing me from accepting my only function."
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We keep talking about how when you start paying closer attention to your thoughts and what thoughts are coming through your head and connecting those dots to how your emotions are coming up, how your body's physical reactions to those emotions, to those thoughts come in. And as you are looking at them, to recognize where they're coming from, why they're there, questioning them. And this lesson here is talking about paying closer attention, looking at them. Don't try to, uncover all of them, but just pay closer attention as you're doing these lessons. In this lesson in particular, it's asking you to pay attention to those thoughts. In the beginning here, it's going to feel like it's really, really difficult. And believe me, it can be. It can seem like your thoughts are all over the place. But the more you start really looking, you'll start catching these little, seem like insignificant thoughts, and yet the very fact that they're there says that they're not insignificant. And when you really look at what it is, 9 times out of 10, it's a judgment about something. And it's those things that are hiding and playing in the back of our mind that color everything we look at around us and outside of us. It colors how we interact with each other, and it colors how we interact with the things going on in our everyday lives. It's like you wake up in the morning and you stub your toe, and then you bang your knee, and then you smash your head, and then you hit your elbow, and then by the time you get out your front door, you're thinking, God, this is going to be a really shitty day. And it's because you're holding those thoughts, because you've judged each of those things to be this or that, that you end up manifesting that throughout your day. We've had things like that happen to us, where we have a frustrating morning and then the rest of the day ends up seeming like it's going crazy.
Yeah, it does seem to be that way, that usually if your day starts out bad, you stub your toe in the morning or whatever, that seems to follow through for the rest of your day.
Yeah, it just cascades.
Right.
And it's those kinds of things. When you start paying attention to those thoughts, you recognize a pattern being played out before you, and it repeats itself again and again and again until you stop and question it, going, what the hell am I doing here? All right, let's move on to number 6. After a while, interfering thoughts will become harder to find. Try, however, to continue a minute or so longer, attempting to catch a few of the idle thoughts that escaped your attention before. But do not strain or make undue effort in doing this. Then tell yourself, on this clean slate, let my true function be written for me. You need not use these exact words, but try to get the sense of being willing to have your illusions of purpose be replaced by truth. So the more willingly you go in, folks, and look at this stuff and say, okay, I'm looking at this, I see it, I'm letting it go. And in your mind, you're like, okay, just gonna wash the window clear so I can get a clearer picture here. And, clean slate, wash the window, however you think will help you to understand and perceive the context of the lesson here. As it says, you don't have to use the exact words that they use. On this clean slate, let my true function be written for me. For me, it's like I go and I look at the stuff that's happening and the thoughts coming in my mind. I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, okay, God, what is it that I'm seeing here? What is it I'm witnessing, perceiving? What's my misperception here? What's the lesson you would have me learn? And what is it you would have me see, hear? What is it you would have me know that I am not understanding? And when I ask, it's given to me every time. But I always have to ask. Otherwise, I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. And I'm driving myself crazy because I'm picking and choosing what is and what isn't. Alex?
Finally, repeat the idea for today once more, and devote the rest of the practice period to trying to focus on its importance to you. The relief, its acceptance will bring you by resolving your conflicts once and for all, and the extent to which you really want salvation in spite of your own foolish ideas to the contrary. You want to read the last section there?
Yeah, I will. Um, yeah, doing these lessons does bring up a lot of conflict.
Well, I think this is a great lesson because it actually teaches you how to deal with the idle thoughts that interfere with doing the work, doing the practice lessons.
Yeah. It's, you don't ignore them, you acknowledge that they're there and you let them go.
But you also acknowledge that they're interfering with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, don't deny that they're interfering.
Right.
You got to acknowledge that they are. All right, 8. In the shorter practice periods, which should be undertaken at least once an hour, use this form in applying today's idea. My only function is the one God gave me. I want no other, and I have no other. Sometimes close your eyes as you practice this, and sometimes keep them open and look about you. It is what you see now that will be totally changed when you accept today's idea completely. And folks, this is very true. Once you accept the atonement for yourself and you choose to see things differently, yes, you can still witness these things happening around you and in the world and in your brothers, but you're no longer manifesting it yourself once you've let it go. It becomes impossible for you to manifest these things yourself anymore. It's like once you've learned about them and have let them go, you cannot create what isn't real. Seriously, you cannot create what is not real. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's like when I hear folks talking about, the molestations, the beatings, the abuses that they experienced, I have compassion for them and I understand where they're coming from. And I can understand what they've experienced because I've experienced it myself. But I no longer see it the way they do. It's not possible for me to. I understand now that it's a pattern that was being repeated without thought, without question. It's something learned. And in many ways, letting go because I've learned that it was simply something that they learned and were taught and never questioned, I understand that I've done the same thing in my life of repeating patterns learned and never questioning. When I did start questioning, guess what? I dropped those patterns. I let them go. And so when I look at my brothers and I hear them cry out, I share with them that it's not the person in front of them that needs to do anything. It's them in those moments. They have to change their mind about how they're perceiving it all. And let go that angst and that pain and that suffering from the judgments they're holding forth as being true. Because in those moments, the pain and suffering they're going through, they're doing it to themselves. All of us want that pain and suffering to end. And the only way we can do so is to be here and to accept the atonement. Our only function here is to accept the atonement for ourselves. Accept the truth of what it is we do to ourselves. This is lesson 65. My only function is the one God gave me. My name is Sabrina Reyenga.
And I am Alex Reyenga.
Thank you for joining us today. Hugs, love, light, and blessings. We love you all.